investment agreement struck between the European Union and China. Now, China's president and European leaders, I should say, they met on Wednesday to mark their agreement, despite a request for talks on that issue by President-elect Joe Biden. Joining us right now to discuss what all of this means and what that snub means to Biden is Gordon Chang. He is the author of The Coming Collapse of China. We all think about the games that China plays, Gordon, and I'm wondering if the EU is falling into that trap of doing business with China, and we know from history and are doing business with them, then they try to steal your technology and also go beyond that, possibly intruding upon cyber attacks, that kind of thing, right?
Well, you certainly got that right, Bob, because first of all, China's big plan is to separate Europe from the United States. And they've worked very hard using this comprehensive investment agreement as a tool to do that. But as we all know, whether you're European, whether you got an agreement or not, Americans, what happens in China is that whatever their agreements are, they dishonor. They've been stealing hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. intellectual property each year. Director of National Intelligence John Radcliffe put that figure at $500 billion of U.S. IP each year. So, you know, the Europeans are going to suffer the same fate.
And we know, that, Gordon, that this has been, 7 years in the making, this agreement. It'll probably take another year to fully go into effect. What does this mean over here in the States? What does this mean for people in America, this agreement that they've come to?
Well, it could put pressure on a Biden administration that wants to deal with China to have our investment agreement of our own. But what this really means, though, is that the Europeans have snubbed President-elect Biden because, as Bob pointed out, the Biden team asked Europe not to go ahead with this announcement because, you know, Biden on Monday talked about building coalitions. Well, he was referring to Europe, and now Europe has said, no, thanks, I don't want your coalitions. And that very much means that Biden now has a policy that, this is incredible, it's collapsed before he's taken the oath of office.
Yeah. You know, I've heard this for years about the opportunities in China. I mean, you and I have been around a while. We remember just playing ping pong with them was a great stride forward under Nixon, and who opened China. And now we're at the point where people are actually doing business deals with them. But the thing that hasn't changed about China is that it's a communist country run by communists, and what appears to be so from them is not really what is coming from them. So what do you think they're up to?
Well, I think really what they need is a lot of money because they have big defaults in their bond markets. And so they do need infusions of cash, and they're looking to Europe to do that. And of course, they want us to follow suit as well. And the real problem here is that John Kerry, who is going to be the new climate czar, really takes the view that the climate issue overrides everything. So he's probably willing to give the Chinese all that they want if they will agree to an enhanced climate arrangement. Now, I think this is a horrible idea from any number of different perspectives, including the one that you guys have mentioned, and that is China never honors its agreements. So all of these arrangements, deals, treaties are one way. We have to honor our obligations. China gets to pick and choose what it wants to do.
And now we're going to see European firms actually operating in China. What do you think we can expect once this does, in fact, go into effect over the next course of the year?
Well, Rachel, we almost don't have to expect anything because we know that the European Chamber of Commerce in the last 2 years has been vociferous in its criticisms of the environment in China. Under Xi Jinping, he's been trying to close off opportunities, not just for foreign investors, but for domestic private entrepreneurs as well, because Xi Jinping believes in the state model. He believes state banks, state enterprises. And so anyone who doesn't fit that definition is going to be on the outs. And that's why the Europeans have been complaining. That's why the Europeans think that they can get an agreement that might change this. I don't think so. Xi Jinping is, Bob says, you know, is a communist. And he's a communist through and through, even more so than China's previous leaders. So, Rachel, I think the Europeans are going to be disappointed again.
Yeah, we've got about 30 seconds. What is the biggest threat from China? Is it the military or is it tech?
Well, I think it's tech because that will dominate the economy, and whoever gets tech dominance and economic dominance will be able to drive geopolitical considerations as well. So tech is at the top of my list.
And we've definitely seen how important tech has been this year already. All right, Gordon Chang, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Rachel and Bob.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.